In this video, I'm about to show you the only 3 productivity systems you are going to need as an entrepreneur. Now, I've personally ran through more than 25 apps. I've used thousands of productivity softwares, literally at this point. But the ones that I'm about to show you right now are the only ones that I have actually stuck to, the ones that I actually use in my business to this date. And they're the same ones that all my business partners use in our company. Starting off with ClearSpace. Now, ClearSpace is an app that I have personally used to get my daily screen time average down from more than 13 plus hours to literally on average about 1.5 hours per day. And I'm not exaggerating, by the way. I used to spend so much time in information gathering, analysis paralysis mode, and I would never actually get the time to work on my business. And I promise you, if ClearSpace has been able to get me back literally a whole work week, even more every single week, if it's allowed me to get me that back, I promise you it can do at least half of that for you. It will give you at least 20 hours back on your time. What we're gonna go over is, first of all, my before and after. We're gonna go over how exactly ClearSpace works, and we're gonna go over a very important part that everybody skips, which is accountability. So for the first step, the before and after. Now, I personally use ClearSpace daily. Before ClearSpace, I had an excuse. Because I had access to YouTube, I had access to Instagram, I had access to all these different platforms, I could write off going on these platforms as work. I would tell myself I'm just researching. I would tell myself that I'm gaining valuable information that, let's be honest, I never acted on. But after I downloaded ClearSpace and I implemented accountability with it alongside it so that I wouldn't actually delete the damn app, I got back so many hours every single week that I had no choice but to work on my business. Think about it. If you're able to eliminate all of the distractions that you have, and the main distractions are probably YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and other social media platforms, you will literally have nothing else to do but work. That was the exact case with me. Once I downloaded ClearSpace, it literally changed my entire life. Now I'm going to talk about how it works. So what ClearSpace essentially does is a very simple app. Every single time you open up an app on your phone, it allows you to restrict it to a certain amount of uses. What it also does is it forces you to breathe in and breathe out so that you're more intentional when opening the app. Now, the best part about ClearSpace that I've found that makes it better than all of the competitors, and by the way, this isn't sponsored at all, it's better than OneSec. I've tried a lot of other apps that claim to do the same exact thing as ClearSpace, but what I like most about ClearSpace is it not only integrates onto my iPad, it integrates onto my iPhone as well, and it integrates on my MacBook. So what it does on my MacBook is I actually have the ClearSpace extension downloaded on Chrome. And what it allows me to do is it allows me to turn on feed blocking so that I don't actually get access to apps like YouTube, specifically so that I don't actually get access to the recommendations and the comments on YouTube videos that can literally start a cycle of quote unquote work that is in reality just a complete waste of time and a distraction. Now, here's what I personally recommend to do with ClearSpace. I would recommend that you take all of your apps and you set a 3 use limit per day, with the maximum being 15 to 20 minutes. Now, a lot of times you will see that it's just literally the hassle of having to breathe in and out that will force you or just make you tell yourself that I don't want to open this app anymore. So in that case, you'll literally just not open the app. But what you want to do specifically for this to happen is you want to extend the breath screen. So usually the breath screen, I believe, is about 15 seconds. You want to increase it to 30 seconds so that you evade using these apps because it's such a hassle actually breathing in. Another very interesting fact is that a lot of us have developed muscle memories. We know exactly where the apps are that we're addicted to subconsciously. We open our phones, we go on those apps, and a lot of times we don't even have to look because we know exactly where they are. And this creates unintentionality. What we want to do is we want to make it intentional, and what I recommend after you set that 3 use limit is that you decrease it by 1 use every single week. Gradually, I promise you, this is exactly what I did. You will delete all your apps. I literally have a TikTok, an Instagram, a YouTube, even this YouTube. I don't manage any of it because I know how dangerous of a tool it is. The only thing that I do is I search up specific videos on YouTube, I click on them via the mini player, and that's all I can watch. Now, the third most important part is accountability. Now, the thing is, Maybe you've done something like this before. Maybe you've downloaded an app that worked exactly like ClearSpace or maybe a little differently. The problem with most of these systems is not necessarily the systems inherently themselves. The problem with these systems are the people that use them. It's so easy to just delete ClearSpace once you download it. So what you want to set up is accountability. Now, I'll tell you exactly what I did. I set up a 6-month contract where me and my business partner entered into terms and agreements that if we evaded any of our ClearSpace limits that we had both decided to, we would literally lose equity to each other in the company. And we listed these out very intricately, and we promised that we would be honest to one another. And in ClearSpace, you can literally see if you evaded. Now, before I actually implemented that accountability, I'm not gonna lie to you, I used to evade all my ClearSpace limits. But once I actually implemented the accountability, I never evaded ClearSpace again. I did it once accidentally, and when I did it accidentally and I had to lose the damn equity, you know what I did? I deleted my music app. I don't even listen to music anymore. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of accountability. If you can keep yourself accountable, then go right ahead. But in reality, most people cannot. All I can tell you right now is that the 4th system that I'm about to introduce to you will help you immensely with that. The next system that we're going to talk about is the Google Calendar system. Now, ClearSpace is a system that you use to eliminate distractions. Google Calendar, as simple as it sounds, is the system you use to move forward. There was a lag time in between when I actually started my ClearSpace contract and when I actually started using Google Calendar. And I'm telling you, I never really saw any progress in my business until I used Google Calendar. And we literally see it as so important that in our company, we built out our clients' ideal weeks. That's how important it is to use Google Calendar for us. Now, theoretically, of course, you can use literally any calendar app, but what I found personally is that Google Calendar has the most amount of integrations and it's the most robust. I keep coming back to it. I've tried different calendar apps, third-party apps. Google Calendar, in my opinion, is the best one. And again, I promise you, if you actually just try out what I'm about to say for a single week, you're going to do more in that week than you probably did in the last few months. So what we're going to go over are the 4 actual steps to perfecting your Google Calendar. First, I'm going to talk about what I mentioned before, the ideal week system. Then we're going to talk about Reclaim AI, which is a plugin, another software that I use and our clients use. We're going to talk about a Zapier SMS integration that really helps you stick to your Google Calendar. And we're going to talk about, again, the most important part, which is accountability, actually sticking to your Google Calendar. Now, the first system that probably a lot of you have already tried is the ideal week. Now, what you essentially do here is at the beginning of every single week, you start off with an empty Google Calendar. And what you do is you map it out to be as perfect as possible. And once you do this, you'll actually realize that not only do you have more time than you expected, but you also have less time than you expected in different things. And that will force you to eliminate the things that don't matter the most. Now, preferably you want to do this on a Monday and you want to go for the rest of the week, mapping out every single perfect thing. And you don't only want to map out when you work. You want to map out exactly when you're going to have your gym breaks. You want to map out when you're going to be out with friends. You want to map out your ideal week in every single facet of your life. You don't want it to just be work. Now, once you do this, you'll actually realize that there's a lot of empty spaces in our calendars. And sometimes we don't really know where to fit things. I mean, you can't just know exactly when you're going to have lunch. I mean, you might be busy at a certain time. So that's why the second step of perfecting your Google Calendar is actually downloading Reclaim.ai. Now, none of the softwares that are mentioned in this video, I have to iterate, are sponsored at all. Reclaim AI is a software that I use personally, and as I mentioned, it's a software that my business partners use and a lot of our clients use to manage their time. What I've personally done with Reclaim AI is I've added in my hour lunch block and my exercise block so that it moves it around so that it doesn't collide with any meetings. So I have a certain time frame in which Reclaim can actually put in that hour-long lunch box, and if that hour-long lunch block, and if anything comes up, if there's a meeting or anything like that, it will literally automatically move my lunch. It will move my workout sessions, and it's so customizable. It's absolutely awesome. Now, the third thing is actually related to the fourth thing. The fourth thing is accountability, but the third thing we're going to talk about is the Zapier SMS integration. Now, the thing is, I've been building out Google Calendars since the dawn of mankind, essentially. I mean, I've built out ideal weeks since I was probably 15, 16 years old. And the hard part is, like, we've all built a routine to some extent. It's actually sticking to it. So what I actually ended up doing is I looked at the one form of communication that I access most. And for most people, this is email, but you can do this with literally any form of communication if you're active on WhatsApp, Telegram, Slack, whatever it is. What you want to do is you want to set up a specific Zapier integration. You want to set up a Zap. For those of you that don't know, Zapier is a software tool that you can use to automate different tasks. What this Zapier automation will do is for every single event that starts on your calendar, it will tell you exactly when it starts via your preferred method of communication. If it's SMS, it's going to tell you via SMS. Now, I literally have hundreds of these notifications coming in every single day. I've actually named my Zapier profile Zappuccino, and it reminds me literally every single hour or every block of time that I need to be reminded on what exactly I should be doing. What I also did is I literally changed the ringtone or the chime, the notification chime for these Zapier messages. So I know exactly when the message is from Zapier and not from my friends, my family, or my business partners. The last step that I'm going to iterate again is accountability. Now, I also have a certain amount of equity linked to me following through on certain events on my Google Calendar. Now, of course, my business doesn't really care if I go on the cocktail party on Friday night because that's on my ideal week. But what we've actually done is we've broken down working into hour-long blocks of time. We call these cabs. We've actually systematized a process in which we have accountability every single hour. And I commit with equity on the line that I will complete a certain amount of cabs by the end of every single day. Now, this is the fourth system that we're going to talk about after we mention the third system, but this is the system that literally allows me to get more done in an hour than most people get done in weeks. And yes, I'm not exaggerating. That's all leveraging the power of accountability. Now, the next system that we're going to be talking about is actually using a video recording software called Loom. Now, I've literally recorded hundreds of Looms in total, and it has probably saved me more than 1,000+ hours of time, probably more than 10,000 at this point. And I promise you, if you implement it the exact way that I tell you to do it in this video, it can do the exact same thing for you. But what's actually interesting is I'm not actually going to show you how to use Zoom in a very conventional way. Now, a lot of people actually post this as their YouTube content. So you've probably seen something like this before. There's a floating video and it's just them explaining it through a whiteboard. What I've found is that if you ever try to record a Loom without any structure, it usually results in a lot of inefficient time wasting. So we have a rule internally at our company that we do not, unless it's a cab Loom, which I'll get into later, ever record a Loom without having a whiteboard. Now, you can use Miro for your whiteboards. You can use Canva, which is what I personally use for my whiteboards. It's so easy. You just have to click R and it just creates a box. You just have to have some bullet points so that you can efficiently replace meetings. Now, the third thing that we need to mention, so important, is how you can use Loom for accountability. So what I actually do is at every single one of my hourly work sessions, which we call cabs here at Compass, I record a Loom, or a Neato rather, going over exactly what I did. Now, not only does that keep me accountable to working on my company for a number of hours per day on the priorities that actually matter, on the things that move the needle, it also allows me to look back on what I did for every single day to make sure I'm on track. It might sound a little overkill, but I promise you, try it for 1 week. This is the best thing out of everything in this video, par none. Other things are important, they're good, they're great rather, but this one, I promise you, if you take away one thing from this video, it should be this. And once again, I'm contractually obliged, otherwise I lose equity, to complete a certain number of cabs per day. And the way that we keep that in check is we actually see the work that is done in those meetings. So the last system that I'm going to tell you about, which is very related to the one we just mentioned, is the actual cab accountability system. The cab accountability system is probably the most revolutionary thing that I have ever come across in my time that I've been in business. And I don't say that lightly. Like, this thing is literally life-changing. And it's not just me that's saying that. Like, cabs changed my life, but cabs also allowed a lot of our clients to do more work in such small intervals of time. Like, you can't believe this. Like, one of our clients, Jason, for example, after he started using cabs, said he got more work done in 10 days than he did in 20 years that he was in business.
I got more done in 10 days than I did in the last 20 years. And that's not even an exaggeration.
Now, he was a SaaS owner, but no matter what type of owner you are, cabs can work for you. If you're an entrepreneur of any kind, cabs work. And cabs has been tried and tested by 100+ entrepreneurs. So I promise you, if you truly implement cabs into your work cycle, you will be absolutely fucking unstoppable. Nothing in this world can stop you as an entrepreneur if you implement cabs. The best part about cabs are that they run 24/7 throughout the day. They keep you accountable and they allow every single hour to stack. If you break it down, you are not distracted on a daily, a weekly, a monthly, or even a yearly basis. On the most fundamental level, you are distracted every single hour. What we do is we flip that. A cab is a 1-hour block of time. The first 5 minutes of the cab, you actually decide what you're going to do. You make sure that it's in line with your greater business goal, your quarterly goal, your yearly goal, your decade goal, if you think that far. The next 50 minutes, you actually work. And the last 5 minutes, you reflect on what you did and if you actually got what you committed to done. Now, the thing is, again, this is easier said than done. But what we've done is we've paired this system with 24/7 accountability. Now, of course, I record looms at the beginning and the end of every single cab. And I'll show you the proof for all of them. Like, there's looms coming out every single day. But this system is so mind-blowingly revolutionary because it functions 24/7. It actually involves, I can't go into the depths of cab in this video. That system by itself deserves a whole training on its own. So what I've done is I've actually detailed exactly how you can implement cabs into your work cycle, and I've done that in the link down below. So go ahead, go down below, click on the link. Every single thing that I mentioned to you in this video today, cabs are the exponent on every single other system that you have in your business. If I haven't convinced you to go down and click on that training below, that's okay. Please go ahead and like, subscribe.